All right, guys. Again, thanks for attending tonight. I usually do this in 4 hours at my office live and answer a bunch of questions and take my time going through it, but we're going to try to cover more ground in a quick period of time. Those of you that are listening to this recording after the fact, I think it's really critical that you get this into the new people's hands because this is securities 101 in my opinion. It's kind of the foundation. I really believe everybody in Primerica can get competent at investments really fast. I think it's very duplicatable. I think at this point, there's never been a better time to have a well-balanced business that you do recruiting, life insurance, and investments to do the full job for the client. And we are heading into, the date is the 3rd of 2020, and we're heading, 2021. We are out of 2020. But 2021, we are headed into in my opinion, what'll probably be the best year ever in securities. I mean, we just came off of a year where Gordy Bohannon did 50 million in his base. I think I was right around 23 million, and I think that was ninth, just to give you an idea where the numbers are at. I think in the first quarter of 2021, we'll do over 50 million in one of the months. I just don't know when some of my cases will hit. But when you think about 10,000 baby boomers turning 65 every single day, there's just going to be a stupid amount of wealth transfer in the next couple of years. So you want to get good and you want to recruit a lot of people and get them good to kind of take advantage of this moment. And I think investments is very, very easy. I think people overcomplicate it. So I'm going to talk less about portfolio construction tonight, less about the markets and more about what the first and second appointment should look like, how to stay in a better market, right? Those are to me, the two most important things in investments, right? One, that you've got to stay in the best market possible. And you got to get on more appointments, right? Everybody thinks that they can learn this business in the classroom. You don't learn it in a classroom. You learn it in the field, actually helping clients, right? You've got to get in a better market. 60 and older is really, really important. The second thing, you've got to become a master communicator, which means that you've got to have your business where it's more questions, more listening, and more really getting to know people, their goals, their concerns, their questions, and really their pain point, right? Because ultimately, if you're going to do more investment business, you're taking money from other advisors, which means that you have to do a good job of diagnosing their pain points. So that's going to be kind of the main focus tonight. I never think there's teaching, there's only learning. I think the teacher appears when the student's ready. I really believe that. And I think what's critical as we head into 2021, that you do a self-evaluation of your 2020 and understand what you've got to work on to get better. It's amazing to me that people will go through their life and their business, never making adjustments and changes, and don't become, the New Year's resolution at the gym that's there for the first 2-3 weeks. Develop a calendar that's really geared towards getting better, right? Competence and confidence is everything. That's the whole purpose of this boot camp and other ones that I do. People buy from you because they like you and trust you, but if you lack competence, you're going to lose your likability really, really fast. Okay. Really, really important to understand that and to know that. So that's what this is all about, is helping you with confidence. Okay. Keys to more right market appointments. Forget 25 to 55. I know the company literature talks about that, but that's the biggest thing one of the biggest things I'm going to stress tonight is you got to get out of that market if you want to do more investment volume. I'm not saying I ignore people. I'm not saying I ignore the middle class, but when it comes to doing more volume, right? I worked 2 days last week and I made $30,000 on my own pen in 2 days because I was in a market where people were over the age of 60. Okay, period. That's it. Right. So people will spend too much time meeting with broke people, single people, young families, and they wonder why they don't do any investment volume. Okay. So you have to be intentional with the market that you're in. Okay. We can help people much more when they have more assets and resources to work with. We can't help people that don't want to help themselves. Stop looking for people that do not have an advisor. My new people say, oh, they already have an advisor. Well, that's exactly who I want to meet with because they have assets. Okay. I'm looking for people that are in a good position that I can put them in a great position. So the idea of giving people a second opinion, you need to be very convicted about that. Everybody and their brother should have a free second opinion on their finances, right? If somebody has a major health problem, they're probably talking to multiple doctors. So why is it in our finances, which is really, really important, that we don't seek out a healthy, free second opinion? And you can tell people, listen, if we go through the process and I feel like you're in a good position and you should stay put, I'm going to tell you that. But if we go through the process and I feel like you should make changes, I'm also going to tell you that. Okay. And you got to get convicted about that. Okay. It's really, really going to help you in this business. Okay. Cherry pick the list when you're field training. Extremely important. Okay. So if I'm training Connie or Ann or whoever on here, and I'm looking at your list and I'm picking out, the most sophisticated cases, right? I'm picking out 60 and older parents, grandparents, uncles, and aunts, people that we know that have assets. Because here's what happens, guys. When the new person that's newly licensed goes to see those people, they're not going to get the case, right? Because their family and friends do not know them as a financial expert. They're probably not even going to want to meet with them. And the reality is, you need to be on those meetings with them because they need to learn more about how this business works. They need to see success. They need to get more referrals. And it's really their only opportunity to get those people as clients, right? So it's really, really, really important that you cherry pick the list. It's in your new person's best interest. Trust me. Okay. If somebody takes me on 10 really, really sophisticated appointments and they see the process from start to finish, first appointment, in between preparing the plan, second appointment, they're going to learn so much about the business. They're going to love this business. They're probably going to be here long term. I'm going to talk to them about how much money that I made in a short period of time, because I think that's important for the new people to understand that, to have some incentive to get fully licensed as quick as possible, right? Really, really, really important. Okay. They need to give up once to receive forever. Okay. It's really important that they understand that process. When I first started in Primerica, I went on about 30 appointments with my field trainer before I was licensed. He probably made 40 grand off of my market at least. I wasn't concerned. Okay. I wanted to get promoted. I wanted to get referrals, but most importantly of all, I wanted to learn the business. Okay. And I fought hard to get him on good appointments because when I wanted to get training, I wanted to help. He always took my call. He went out of my way to make sure he was on those appointments. So that was important to me. I didn't want to waste his time because I wanted training and I wanted to get independent as quick as possible. So if you're brand new on this, get your field trainer on as many appointments as possible. You'll never regret it. And of course, if you're a trainer, you want to make sure that you're taking your new people to a really good market and not only teaching them the business, but teaching them how to get quality referrals and teaching them marketing strategies to build their list. That's part of our job with new people, right? Help them get licensed, help them with marketing strategies, and of course, teach them the business. Okay. In-service distribution should be one of your favorite pastimes. Okay. You should know every single company in the area that allows a 59.5 in-service distribution. Of course, with Zoom and technology, we're not really limited to the area that you guys live in or work in or your office is in. You could do this all across the country. But that 59.5 rule is a big deal. That's where a lot of your cases will probably end up coming from. Of course, networking is going to be a big part of this. You're going to learn, if you're going to do more securities volume, that it is always going to be a team approach with your clients, okay? A CPA and a state attorney, that you're surrounding your clients with a good team of the right people, Medicare supplement people, mortgage brokers, I can go on and on. But a lot of your big cases will actually come from referrals from these professionals that you're surrounding your clients with. Okay. That's really, really important. You're going to get good at helping people retire. That's what you should specialize in. If somebody that knows you is looking to retire, that they should not make this decision until they call you. Okay. You should start to be known as somebody that helps people retire, right? I promise you, Justin Duro in Florida, in my brief conversations with him, he's a master at helping people retire, right? That's why he has basically 10 licenses, went well over $1 million in income basically on his own pen because he helps people retire. Okay. But you've got to get in that market and you've got to get good at it, right? Once you do it for them, obviously they're going to refer you to their friends at work. I like to think about, I want my clients to be walking billboards at work, that they're telling their friends about us. Obviously wellness workshops at these companies, which by the way is your best open door to the 401k situation. I'm not saying you can't prospect for 401ks and 403bs and 457s and simple IRAs. But the better approach is to do a wellness workshop either online or in person. And then, of course, after that, you're probably getting the HR director as your client, and then you can have a direct conversation. Listen, your funds aren't that good. Your fees are too high. I see some compliance issues. Let's change your 401k to fix all these issues. Once she's a client, he's a client, whoever it is, then it becomes a very direct conversation. I'm no longer cold calling somebody about their 401k. I've got that relationship. I bet you there's so many people in your client base right now, and I bet you there's so many people on your team right now that you haven't even scratched the surface of the people that they know. Okay. It's amazing to me how many people in Primerica will waste time cold calling and looking like an idiot on social media, whatever the heck they do, not thinking about who do my clients know? Can my clients introduce me to the decision makers at work? Can my clients introduce me to the right potential recruits? All of my best recruiting contacts come from referrals from my clients. How can the people that I already know that I can bring more value to on a week, how can they introduce me to centers of influence, right? That's how my mind works. I can meet with someone and they have no idea that I'm thinking about this, but the entire time, all I'm thinking about is who does this person know and how can they introduce me? They'll never know that. They think I'm giving them my undivided attention, which I really am. But at the same time, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking about who they know. Okay. Really, really, really important. Stop spinning your wheels when it comes to prospecting. Just build a great client base and take really good care of them. Stay in touch with the team that you have, and just look for all those opportunities right around you. Okay. Master the transition, really important. Could be a job change, could be retirement, could be somebody having a baby, right? When there's a transitional period, your pinger should go off. Okay. To make, you think about it, you buy a certain car and then all of a sudden you see that car all over the highway. With the same thing in Primerica. Okay. You've got to realize the transition period and get good at it. Retirement, inheritance, settlement. I think you should have great relationships with personal injury attorneys. Someone's in a motorcycle accident, they get $1 million. I promise if they don't meet with you, they're going to absolutely blow it. Okay. Switching jobs, etc. Right. We had a lot of opportunity in that in 2020 for this because of course, COVID, increased the unemployment rate, which means more people have this 401k to roll over, right? More people switching jobs. So that's an opportunity. And the great thing about the investment business is it's always going to be good. Okay. The economy's good. It's going to be good. The economy's crappy. It's going to be good. Okay. The stock market's good. Our investment business is going to be good. If the stock market tanks, our investment business is going to be good. That people that think that they need an increasing market to have a good investment business have no idea what the heck they're doing. A bad stock market makes my life a million times easier because people seek me out because the market's tanking, they're freaking out, they realize they don't know what they're doing, they're no longer a Wall Street genius, they're no longer the best day trader in the world. And you know what? They're trying to get a hold of their person at Merrill Lynch and they're not in the office because of COVID, right? So again, the beauty is this business is always good no matter what. And I've been doing this for 17 years and I've never seen the opportunity that I'm seeing right now in terms of volume. Okay. It's just, you have to understand where is your business going to come from? So stop doing appointments in a not qualified market because you're going to work really hard, but you're not going to make much money and you're going to be irritated. Okay. So why not make a lot of money while you build your business? That would be my advice. Okay. Get great at helping with Social Security. You should become a master at helping people figure that out. Should they do it at 62? Should they do it at 66? Should they do it at 70? When should their spouse do it? Should they delay it, take more money from their investments initially, and then decrease their investment income later, right? What should they do? Okay, this is not a cookie cutter situation. There's no right or wrong answer. It really depends on the client, right? But if you're good at that, right, if you ask me what topic should you think about from a marketing standpoint to do a webinar or in-person meeting, I don't think there's a better topic than Social Security. I also think Medicare supplements is good too because it's so confusing. Okay. But you got to get good. Okay. A lot of my best referrals come from helping people with things that I don't actually get paid for. Okay. It could be telling someone to refinance the rate at 2.25. It could be figuring out their Social Security. It could be helping them with their 401k that I don't manage because they're 55. But here's what happens is my credibility goes through the roof. They give me all their additional business. They're going to come back to me later when they can move their money, but they're going to refer me to all of their friends. Okay. Credibility. The problem with Primerica people, a lot of Primerica people across the country is they have a business that's transactions instead of relationships. Okay. It's so unbelievable that when I go to work tomorrow morning, that the work that I do tomorrow, I'll get paid on the rest of my career. That's the way I look at things. It's a relationship. Okay. That's the beauty of Securities. It gives you a reason to follow up with people, to stay in contact with them. Help with pensions. Okay. Medicare supplements, really confusing. Get great at help. This sounds overly simplistic, but I would say 9 out of 10 people that I meet with really don't budget properly. And you know what? When it comes to retirement, that's the first starting point. I'll get calls and they say, I want to retire. I heard you're the best. And I go meet with them and I have to tell them they can't. Okay. Because they don't have enough money. And as a professional, I can't have them run out of money shortly into their retirement. But they haven't even taken the time to sit down and figure out if they stop working, how much income that they need per month. Okay. Sounds overly simplistic, but people don't know. Okay. So you should really work out some type of simple spreadsheet, keep things simple, right? What is their Social Security going to be? When are they going to take it? What is their investment income going to be? When are they going to take it? Do they have a pension? Are they going to work part-time at all? Okay. Are they going to have debt? Are they going to be debt free, right? How much are their taxes going to be? What about utilities, travel, growth, whatever? It sounds overly simplistic, but people don't do it. Okay. Hugely important. The majority of the population will increase their spending up to their income, and they'll spend a lot of their life paying their bills and paying their taxes, and they react to retirement. They're not proactive with it, right? So that's one of the things that we've got to help them with, okay? Know your numbers. I think if you're going to get better at the securities business, you got to know your numbers, right? So if I do X amount of premium, what should that mean in investment volume? I really believe the proper ratio is you should at least do $1 million in investment business for every 10,000 in premium minimum. Should probably be more than that if you're in the right market. Okay. But if you're not, it's a great sign. I'm not in the right market. I need to make adjustments, right? I think you should know what the average F&A pays you, right? That's extremely important because I think you need to know what is your time worth, okay? Because what you're going to find is you're going to spend a lot less time with a lot of the admin type of stuff in Primerica that needs to be done for your business, but it's not going to pay you and it's not going to grow your business. So you really have to treat it like a business. You need to really develop a staff around you. My recommendation that's helped me is I have people that do all the stuff that I don't want to do. I pay them. If I don't want to do it, I'm going to pay someone to do it. I know it needs to be done, but if I don't enjoy it, if I'm not passionate about it, if I don't like it, I'm not going to do it. Okay. Because I know it's going to be a waste of time. It's going to be a waste of, the time I need to spend in growing my business and making more money. Stop trying to get more out of less, learn to get more out of more. That's a danger, right? If you get really good at investments, the challenge is that you can try to start doing a lot less appointments, which is fine. I mean, you can build your business how you want to do it. But I think if you want to get really big, really fast, I think you just need to get more out of more to accelerate time frames, right? Passive income, right? You want more independent Primerica people on your team, and you want more investment business, more relationships that pay you more residual income. Let the numbers work for you. As an example, heading into 2021 here, I just want to make sure at least that I'm not doing anything crazy in terms of Primerica goals this year, other than I want to make sure my base recruits are over 10 per month. And I want to make sure that I get over 150 million in managed accounts that pays me an extra 100 grand a month in residual income. Okay. Those are my two goals for 2021. Okay. But I know what the price is. I know what it looks like. I know what I have to do to accomplish that. Okay. Master service, build relationships. Okay, really, really important. Your relationship only begins after the client is created. How would you want to be treated, right? Just practice the golden rule. That sounds simple, but when I get phone calls from people that have not heard from their Primerica rep in 10 years, it's obvious that across the country, not everybody practices the golden rule. Okay, it's sad, but how would you want to be treated? Okay. And that's, by the way, how I run my entire business. If I'm meeting with someone, how would I want to be treated? If I'm having a conversation with someone, following up, doing a review, how would I want to be treated? Okay. Set expectations on the first appointment with a client. What does that mean? Well, you have to let them know what the process is like. Okay. Because if you don't, they're going to be wondering the entire time what's going to be happening. So they're not going to really be paying attention to the process and what you're asking them, and really settling in and becoming comfortable with the process, right? So I'm always very direct in terms of letting them know that I'm there to help them, that we're there to help them with their goals, and we're going to address what's important to them, what are just the most important concerns that they have, the questions that they have. I'm going to talk to them about how I get paid, because if I don't, they're going to be wondering that. I'm going to basically be very direct about the referral process, which I'm going to talk about a little bit later tonight. But you've got to really be upfront and candid about the entire process in the first appointment. That's what a professional does. A professional does not let the client be thinking about what's going to happen on that appointment that you're doing now, of what's going to happen next time, right? That's not what a professional does. A professional is very upfront and candid about the process. You ever talk to a salesperson in life that was pitching and presenting and trying to sell you something, and you're like, what the heck's going on? I have no idea what the point of this conversation is. I feel like I'm being sold something. What is this about? Okay. Don't act like that. Be a professional, be candid, be direct, let them know exactly what the purpose of the meeting is. Okay. Um, Couple things that I do. Okay. And again, this is just the introductory securities A to Z bootcamp. But, this is not going into a lot of detail in each section, but I want to cover what I feel like are the fundamentals and the most important foundational things. But I think all of your clients should get a thank you card in the mail. And I think it should be very personal. My wife and I send out cards. My office manager manages all of this. But every client gets a thank you card. Thank you so much for allowing me to assist in helping you reach your financial goals. Please know that long-term relationships are very important to me. Please call or text me anytime you have any questions. Thank you so much in advance for your referrals. Something like that. Okay. And then my office manager sends that to everybody. And then throughout the year, we probably rotate 2 other cards. So I'm using Sales Team Pro. I'm using the email system. I've got send out cards going, of course, making sure that on a quarterly basis, I'm reaching out to my clients. So I'm rotating between text, voicemails, phone calls, face-to-face reviews, dinner seminars. All of your clients should be reached out on a quarterly basis. Okay. And my staff does a lot of this. Okay. So the people in Primerica that say, oh, I want to get financially independent, I want to build a hierarchy so I don't have to do anything, is the dumbest thing in the world not to at least pay a staff to do this stuff. Because you're throwing away hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars per year by not following up with people. I mean, for some hierarchies, it's close to an extra $1 million a year because of their incompetent follow-up. Okay, just pay somebody to do it, and have your regional leaders or district leaders or whoever's competent and fully licensed in your base to be able to do this. Okay, it's not that hard, but it makes everything easy. Remember, easy Primerica, easy Primerica, easy Primerica. The challenge is when people don't learn proper follow-up and service, they're always trying to go through that prospecting and cold calling craziness because they don't take care of the gold that's right in front of them. They don't mine it properly. Okay. Follow-up cards after initial thank you cards. Again, I like sending one around Thanksgiving. I like sending one out usually maybe 3 months into the year. Okay, space them out a little bit, but I love Thanksgiving, but I feel like everybody gets a card around Christmas. I think the birthday emails and cards are kind of cheesy. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I'm about to turn 40 this month, so I'm really not looking forward to that birthday. I think most of our clients don't want someone to remind them that they're older. I think it's cheesy. I'd rather let people know that I'm thankful for them personally. So that's why I like Thanksgiving, just to let clients know how much I appreciate them. I appreciate them continuing to trust me and helping them, thanking them for the referrals, right? And then have some type of call to action. So what I like to do, in addition to, guys, a lot of my phone calls and voicemails are just catching up about their family, okay? Because again, it's a relationship. But some type of call to action. So I might say, hey, with all the uncertainty, with the political climate, with the market craziness, with the COVID situation, it's really important that we have a chance to talk soon, to just review everything to make sure you're in a good spot. Okay, call or text me at blah blah blah. Right, something like that, a call to action. So I'll send out those cards, and again, I might get 30 phone calls. But that might lead to an additional 60, 70 grand in income that week because, again, your clients are not going to call you when they lose a job to roll their 401k over it, right? You need to proactively reach out to them, okay? So that's been huge for me, guys. It's been really, really huge. I can't stress that enough. Face-to-face reviews, again, for the sake of time, we're not going to go through, but what I would encourage you to do is try to keep good notes. That's a weakness of mine, that I try to remember everything about clients just from memory, and I do a pretty good job of that. But that's probably dumb. I should take more notes, whether it's in virtual base shop or their file or wherever. But what did you talk to them about last time? Okay. And what type of new idea, strategy, what needs to be done at this point, right? I think it's important that when you do these reviews that you bring new ideas and strategies to the table, because if you don't, they're not going to look forward to the conversation. Too many Primerica people are lazy with this. They'll print out their statements and then just show up at the client's home. Or they can look at their statements themselves. It's like the person that reads the F&A to the client. That's not helping them, okay? But what kind of value and idea can you bring to the table? What are some key things to cover, right? Maybe you can do things like update them on their financial independence number, maybe update their F&A, debt stacker, track for retirement. Maybe they need to rebalance their accounts. Maybe they need to go more conservative. Maybe you met them 10 years ago and now they're closer to retirement, so they need to take some risk off the table. Maybe they need to do some calculations on retirement in terms of what it's going to look like. Maybe they need to update their beneficiaries. Maybe they need to think about some estate planning and tax planning. I don't know, but bring some ideas to the table. And what you're going to find is people look forward to these meetings, strengthens the relationship. They do more business with you and they give you more referrals. Okay. A dinner seminar. Obviously, with COVID in 2020, it wasn't as prominent. We didn't really do many of these, but it's been very effective in the past when I was building a client base. We called it Client Appreciation Night, had one of the wholesalers cater it. And then, of course, encourage clients to bring their friends, okay? Team up with other professionals. All that really means is you could have a CPA talk, a Medicare supplement person, an estate attorney, maybe a long-term care professional, whatever the case may be. Bring value. Education is really, really important. Okay. What education does, guys, is it not just strengthens the relationship, but you get higher quality referrals. Because what you don't realize is happening behind the scenes is when your client tries to refer someone to you, they get an objection from that person. So the more educated they are, they can overcome that objection, so then hand off that referral to you. It's really important, okay? This is a no-brainer for those of you that are trying to build a client base, okay? We get back to a normal world. By the way, 60 and older, I live in central Pennsylvania. Everybody likes to eat around here, but you feed people and it's amazing how many people will show up to this, okay? And you can rotate it if you want to do Social Security a lot because it's the most popular, whatever, whatever works. Of course, voicemails. A lot of times I'm trying to leave voicemails. I'm not actually trying to talk to my clients, not because I don't want to or don't like them, but because I don't have any control over my time if everybody picks up. Just want them to know that I'm thinking about them. Emails, texts. And with STP, I'll actually just write my own email out, my own campaign. I just like the idea that I can just quick hit a button, have my wife do it, and it gets sent out, okay? Call to action, really important, okay? By the way, like a Happy New Year email, a Merry Christmas email, or Happy Holidays email, there's nothing wrong with that, because the more times that you can talk to your clients, reach out to your clients, communicate with your clients without trying to sell them something, the better your relationship is going to be, right? I don't want my clients to think, oh, the only time Ben calls me is he's want to try to get more business out of me, right? Just texting somebody Happy New Year, right? How are the kids doing, right? That stuff matters. Okay, it sounds simple, but you just being a friend, so to speak, is way more important than what you know about the investment business, right? So let me just be very candid. I have a finance and economics degree. I've been an investment nerd a long time. 99% of the time, I don't go into any of that knowledge base and talk to any of my clients about any of that stuff, okay? Because it's not relevant to what we're trying to do, okay? Stephen Covey's book says, seek first to understand. So I'm not there to impress them with my securities knowledge. I'm there to get to know them in terms of what their goals are, what makes them tick, how can I help them? So my more sophisticated clients, I get into a little bit more of the investment stuff, and I enjoy those conversations. They're very rational. Sometimes with our irrational clients, I feel like a psychologist. I tell my wife all the time, I think I have a PhD in psychology. I find some of my appointments, I'm in the middle of a marriage dispute more than helping them with their investments, right? But again, it's communication. So it's a business that's rewarding, a better reputation. It's something that you can be proud of. It's easy revenue. Again, make money while you build a business, right? So if you get nothing out of this foundational training, service is everything, okay? Keys to better and more referrals, you got to partner with them, okay? So how many times have you given them their homework sheet between the first and second appointment, they didn't do it? Same thing with referrals. You got to partner with them. You got to go through their phone, their social media, etc., and explain to them the importance of referrals. It's not that you need the referrals. It's that if those referrals are not referred, they're probably not going to have any chance of financial success. That's why it's so important. It's about those people. It's not about you. As soon as you get that in your head, you're gonna spike your referrals. Because some of you don't ask for them because you feel like it's showing them a sign that you're not successful. Listen, that is dumb. Professionals and very successful people get a ton of referrals, not because they need the referrals, but because they realize if those clients do not refer, those people aren't going to have a chance, okay? Be specific when you ask your clients what you're looking for. If you don't, they're going to refer you to broke people that aren't paying their bills because they don't know. How many of you go to a networking group and you're doing your 2-minute presentation and you say, what's a good lead? What's a good referral? That's what you need to have the conversation with clients about. So if I'm out my own, hey, I'm going to do a lot of work for you. This relationship is going to be very important to me. Your financial success is very important to me. I'm going to do a ton of work for you. But my experience over the years, after doing this for 17 years, not only does almost all my business come from referrals, but oftentimes if those people aren't referred, they would have never had a chance of financial success. That's why it's so important to me. So I'm not going to charge you anything. I'm not going to send you a bill in the mail. There's not going to be any junk fees with me. The only thing that I'm going to ask you for is if this has been a really good experience after we've gone through it, that we spend some time thinking about the people that you care about that need to get a free second opinion and see this information. If I'm training somebody, I'll say, listen, I've been doing this for a while. I get people call me every day that were referred to me. Connie's just getting started with us. So I'm going to do a lot of work for you, but what I'm going to ask you for is that you spend some time thinking about the people that Connie and I need to go meet with. I'm going to be with Connie, right? If Connie's brand new, the client's going to be hesitant if they don't know I'm going to be with her, right? But we're going to make sure that these people get help, okay? You need to bring it up on the first appointment. And then what I do is after I'm done everything on the second appointment, then I spend some time on it again. Okay, I go through all the paperwork. You gotta spend time on it. What most of you do is you do the business and you've already been there for too long because you didn't prepare properly and you're talking too much. So then you mention referrals on your way out the door. Okay. I can't see everybody's face, but I promise you do that. So I try to make my appointments as short as possible, um, because people don't want long meetings, but we block out time for the referrals. Okay. Listen, clients don't know the process. That's part of the process is we spend some time on introductions. Okay. Um, so beneficiaries, contingent beneficiaries, emergency contacts, however you guys want to do it. By the way, I've run into so many people, their beneficiaries were jacked up, or they didn't even have contingent beneficiaries, right? You just look at the amount of unclaimed assets are at the state. So that stuff's important. But what you'll find is you'll get a lot of generational type referrals if you do this properly. Lots of family members, okay? Mom and dad get older, maybe they're having signs of dementia. You're meeting all the kids, you're meeting the aunt and uncle. Someone dies, all of a sudden there's 10 beneficiaries. I'm meeting with all of them, right? All of this stuff matters. And a lot of this financial planning is really a family conversation. So I purposely call these people to let them know, hey, I just met with mom and dad. I just wanted to introduce myself. My name's Ben. I'm going to take really good care of them. This is my cell phone number. You can call or text me anytime. And I'd love to stop by at some point and just talk to you about some of the ways that we help people. Okay. Something like that. Okay. Get rid of useless Primerica jargon when you're asking people for recruiting referrals. Don't say the word recruit. Don't say the word IBA. I mean, anything that comes across as multi-level marketing, you got to get rid of that, right? So the term you should use is we're opening up an additional office or additional offices in the area. We're going to need to staff these offices. Who do you know? High integrity, good people skills that might be looking to make an extra couple $1,000s a month part-time for 5 to 10 hours a week of work, or a 6-figure income full-time, something like that. Okay. But again, get rid of all the Primerica language that they don't understand. Okay. How your client should introduce, this is important. So you get the referrals. How does the introduction take place? So it could be a conference call. I did a lot of conference calls. It could be a letter, which is kind of old school, but my favorite now is a text introduction because everybody texts. Okay. So all that really is there's 10 referrals that I'm going to send, 10 group text. But I'm going to have my client send the text message to the person and copy me. Right. Then it's a pretty easy thing because then I say, hey, and they send the text out and my response is, hey, Ann, great to meet you. So-and-so, Connie said some great things about you. I'm open next week, Wednesday and Thursday, which would be better for you for a quick Zoom meeting to introduce myself, right? Something like that. But you've got to facilitate that and make sure it happens, okay? An appointment from a referral tends to lead to more of the same, okay? Understand that, know that. Also know that if somebody has a good chunk of assets, usually they're going to hang out with somebody with a good chunk of assets. Their 10 friends, if they average the income, it's going to be their income typically. So once you get into that better market, it's easy to stay in that market. Have the referral send original client a thank you card or call them or email. Make sure that they're letting them know how it went, okay? Because that's going to help you get more referrals. Also understand that about 80% of your referrals are going to come from 20% of your clients. So you should go out of your way to bring those 20% more value. Okay. That's the next slide here. So I'll send text. I'll see a financial article that I was thinking about them. I'll send it to them, whatever the case may be. I'm just always looking to provide more value, communicate them. And again, the idea of don't eat lunch alone, you should be having as many strong relationships with professionals as possible. Silent agents in your organization, I think could be big. that people can make really good part-time income in your office just by referring you to people, right? So you got to think about this. You got to spend some time and you got to be intentional with this to make sure you get more referrals. Let's talk about the first appointment. Again, I know I'm going through some of this quick, but I want to make sure that I cover all the material as best that we can in the time that we have. Keys of first appointment, and you should rate yourself on this and work on this, but ask great questions and be a great listener. So here, I'm not going to go through all the questions, but that's something that can be emailed to you guys later. I have a question database. Of course, you don't want to be asking every single client all the questions, but the ones that are appropriate for them. What kind of service are you getting from your current advisor? This is one of my favorite questions I ask pretty much on every appointment. If we decide it makes sense to work together, what would you expect from me? Okay. Again, I'm interviewing them. That question is so important from a psychological standpoint because some of you always come across like you need their business. You're trying to convince them, you're trying to present. Stop doing that. Okay. Because desperate people will not close anything. Okay. I not in an arrogant way. I try to be humble as possible, but in my mind, they need me significantly more than I need them. I don't care if it's a recruiting conversation or a client conversation. That's probably the most important question that I ask people. Okay. How often does your current advisor review things when you make with you and make necessary adjustments? Right. Again, that opens up pain points. So service is a pain point. Are you happy with the service you're getting now? Another one of my favorite questions, if I'd start one on this page. If we had a 2008 situation here in 2021, how would your how would it respond? If your portfolio got cut in half, how would that make you feel? How often is your portfolio being rebalanced? Did your advisor put a strategy in place to protect you against the four major risks all investors face? I love these questions because the advisor didn't do any of this stuff, right? So what I'm doing is one of the pain points is service, and it's the most important pain point, and really the most important thing to clients. All studies show that clients care 10 times more about the communication and their actual rate of return. So all I'm doing is asking these questions to point out the pain points that they have with their current advisor. Okay. Well, I don't know what the four major risks, right? So I'm not like blowing up. I'm like, so they didn't even go over that stuff with you? My clients tell me all the time that the most important thing that I do for them, in addition to making money, is to minimize all the risks that they could face. That's not something you guys even went over. Now, how are they feeling after I ask that question? Right? And again, by the way, your clients care 10 times more about minimizing risk than making money. Always assume that because it tends to be true. Okay? Really important. If I could show you how to make a higher rate of return while taking on less risk, would you be interested in working with me or making a change? Right? Very, 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 very important question. Okay, when I first got started in Primerica, I first got my securities license and figured out Morningstar and started analyzing beta and asset allocation and all that good stuff. I'd love to ask that question because I knew I could prove that with obviously third-party tools before I came back on the second meeting. What are the most important things I should know about you if we decide to work together? What major questions and concerns do you have? One question to ask on the first appointment is there something in particular that you want me to focus on? You have to ask that question because if you're getting into everything about investments and their major concern is they want to improve their credit score to buy a house, they're not going to listen to anything that you're saying. Okay? What is their most important concern? Right? We can't we can't communicate with our clients the way we communicate with our spouse sometimes, and we're not really listening to what they're saying, right? We've been with them a long time. We're not proactively listening. We're not intentionally listening, right? We can't do that with our clients. How confident do you feel about your current retirement plan? Okay, really important. How do you feel about the fees that you're currently paying? So again, I see the statement, I see the high fees, and then I ask the question, right? And remember that yes, it's a rational decision to work with you, but it's also an emotional decision to work with you. So it's okay if you get the client feeling ticked off about their current situation, because then they're going to make a move. If it's not uncomfortable enough, guess what? They're not making a move. By the way, some people will stay in that bad relationship with that bad advisor just because they don't like change. So if you don't get them uncomfortable enough, they're not making a move. How comfortable do you feel that you will not run out of money? Do you feel your assets are correlated and working together properly? And this is where I kill these other advisors, because they don't even take the time to help them with their 401ks because they don't manage it. Well, I believe that everything should be working together. Okay. Maybe their 401k is aggressive and their IRA over here is conservative because, there's a strategy behind that. But I often find that these other financial companies don't give a crap about anything else than what they manage. That's really an opportunity for you to make sure. By the way, the spouse's assets should work together with theirs. Sometimes one of the spouses is very conservative and the other one's very aggressive. So we play them off of each other. We have it work together really well. That's important. Are they correlated? Okay. Pain point on the first appointment, right? And again, I talked about service already. This would be like number two, most important thing to get good at investments. Okay. And I keep this A to Z boot camp very simple on purpose, because to me, the business is simple and people overcomplicate things. Okay, so it's service and then it's pain points. What are the pain points? What are the pain points? What are the pain points? So I don't believe in just moving money to get paid or to get business. I believe in moving money because I'm convicted that there are some issues that need to be fixed. So it could be fees are too high, it could be asset allocation issues, right? Bad service, not diversified properly, poor performance. So the S&P 500 in 2020 ended up close to up 20% for the year. Okay, so if you run into a new client, they're 95% stocks and they made 8%, that's terrible, right? Because they're taking on a lot of risk and they're not getting rewarded for it, right? They're lagging the S&P 500 by 12% or whatever the number was, okay? That's not good, but you got to quickly look at their statement and be able to tell them that, okay? This is a way I phrase this sometimes, okay? This is very helpful. If you were my client and I've been working with you for several years, I would be embarrassed right now about what I'm seeing on this statement. And that's exactly what I say, by the way. If you ask my trainees, that's what I say. This is another tip. If you're training somebody, I'll actually take the time out and say, hey, Ian, do you mind if I take a few minutes here from a training perspective to highlight to Connie some of the important things that I'm seeing in a very professional, tactful way? Then I'll basically, talk to Connie about how bad their portfolio is. And it comes across as more professional because I'm using it from a training perspective. And it's like, oh my God, the client's like, oh, now I'm part of the example of what you should never do. Like, right? They want to get it fixed at that point, right? So, but I know this stuff is important. Listen, if they don't do business with you, you're not helping them. Okay. So I don't want to waste their time or my time and start this process and have pain points and not fix it, right? So I'm making them uncomfortable in a professional way, okay? Taking on too much risk, that's a big one. Lack of a strategy, huge. Assets aren't not correlated properly, not tax efficient. Maybe they don't have a short-term, mid-term, and long-term bucket. So what you've got to get really good at is what are the pain points quickly. Look at their statement, pain points, point them out, then ask permission if you can fix it. Does that make sense? So if it's taking on too much risk, hey, listen, based on what you've told me so far, you're absolutely taking on too much risk. We're in the ninth inning of this baseball game. The stock market, the S&P 500 is trading at 35 times earnings. We don't know for sure when the top's going to be, but the way that you're set up is your portfolio is going to get crushed. Would you be interested in taking a look at ways to prevent that loss and lower your risk? If I could come back on the next meeting and show you exactly how to do that, would you be interested in working together? That's it. Pain point. Do you want to fix it? Right? Do we want a partnership together on this to make sure that you're protected? Not enough liquidity, big problem for a lot of people. All they have is what they have in their retirement account, right? Investments do not line up with risk tolerance. How many times have you sat down with people, you begin to ask them these simple questions and you're looking at their portfolio and like, wow, it says, you're telling me that you're conservative, but you're 100% in stocks, right? Current advisor ignored everything in their finances, but what they do something with, I talked about that earlier. Okay, so again, pain points, then questions. If I could show you a way to fix this problem, would you be interested in implementing that solution? If we could address these pain points or issues or however you want to say it and fix them, would you be interested in working together? Would you like me to make sure I'm prepared to fix these issues when I come back next week? Okay. Guys, listen, phrase the question however you want to, but I find that these questions work. And you might feel uncomfortable to ask these, but listen, what you need to do with this stuff is start using it right away, regardless of how you feel. Primerica is really lyrics. I mean, that's all it really is. It's just words. And the problem is people keep using the wrong words all the time, right? I know what works, I know what doesn't work, and you might feel comfortable communicating this way. But once you start doing it, you're going to have a ton of results and it's going to become very, very natural. So don't sit through this tonight, right? Listen, I could be doing a million other things and I'm doing this to help you. Don't sit through this meeting and not implement these things this week. It's really, really important that you do that because I want you to have a lot of success. And what words that you use with clients with these questions are really, really important, okay? Wrapping up first appointment. Even though you may not do paperwork on the first appointment is always where the sale takes place conceptually. So some of you are not doing any of these questions, you're not diagnosing the pain points, and then you're not asking these commitment questions, and you're just thinking, oh, if I do a bunch of research and put together this great plan, magically the client's just going to want to move forward in the next visit. No, they're not. Okay, they're not. I mean, I can't stress that enough. Stop thinking that you're going to go back to the office when you didn't take the time, right, on the last appointment, right? Very, very important. You're not do business, you're not helping them. Assess right kind of client they are. So listen, this is important. I've said this a million times to my hierarchy, but there's 3 types of clients. A third of the people are going to do business no matter what. The second third are never going to do business no matter what you do. Okay, and the remaining third is where you need to go from decent to good, from good to great to get that remaining third. So what you've got to get quick and good at is who are the people that are not going to do business no matter what, right? And just don't waste time with them. Very important. Maybe they have a family member that's their advisor and they're just not going to move. Well, I'm not going to waste their time and my time, right? I don't know what the situation is, right? Maybe their mom passed away and they're not going to leave that advisor because it's like a connection with their mom. I don't know, right? But it may not make sense to do the second appointment, but I see so many Primerica people will try to do it anyway, hope and pray that something happens, but it's a waste of time. Okay. Remember, we are not there to get our needs met or impress them with our knowledge. We're there to help them, make it about them. Um, every appointment should be basically you listening 80% of the time, and then doing the majority of the talking. Gauge your meetings. Okay. I'm serious about this. Those that talk a lot and the client doesn't talk a lot, you're not going to be as successful. I promise you. Never forget when my wife was involved in the business and I was training her, she'd go in an hour and a half meeting, come back and nothing ever happened, right? But she got, they have a lot in common. They both like to bake, blah, blah, blah. Spend a lot of time talking about their kids, but get to the point, right? It's important. Stop presenting and convincing. That's not what a professional does. Okay, now let's transition to the second appointment. Have F&A done unless they're already retired. Sometimes the F&A is like, don't do an F&A for people already retired. It's really dumb. It doesn't provide much value. I know the home offices try to update the F&A to provide more value with the market rate of return versus the constant rate of return, all that good stuff. To me, it's kind of useless. If someone's already retired, I'm just focusing more of my energy on strategies with their investments. But the checklist, let me stop here. This is critically important. So those of you that just print the F&A, show it on Zoom or in person, and don't have a summary sheet, you're missing the boat. So all this really is, at the top of the page, I write building a financial house, then positive areas, then areas of concern, then implementing solutions. So those are my categories. They're all bullet points. Okay. Very positive areas sometimes is hard because they don't have a lot of positives, but I come up with them because I don't want to depress them. Areas of concern. And then my implementing solutions, all it really does is it fixes the areas of concern. I just do this on a Microsoft Word document. This isn't a Primerica thing. I came up with it. It works. It's extremely important. The reason is if you go over the F&A, most people are going to feel very overwhelmed. You're going to say, Nate, what the heck do I, they're not telling you this, but they're thinking, man, this is a lot of information. I feel overwhelmed. What the heck do I do with it? So the great thing is I start doing the business and with implementing solutions. I go back to checklist and I cross it out. And then I move on to the next one, do that business, cross it out. And you can see like the relief, the stress level going down, because they can tangibly see, man, we're making progress in our finances tonight. That summary sheet is huge because they need to know what to do. Like, you're the professional. What should they do? You broke down all the pain points, right? So, and by the way, how many times am I stressing their issues, right? The first page of the F&A where it's just blank, but it's a financial house, you guys probably don't even go over that. Like, that's the majority of my second appointment because I already know what their issues are. So remember, I address their areas of concern or pain points on the first visit. I'm doing immediately on the second visit with that first page because they probably forgot about their issues. And then guess what? After we go over all the information, then I'm doing it again, right? So if I do the F&A, then Morningstar proposals where I'm comparing their investments and maybe a few illustrations or whatever, I'm ending with this summary sheet. This is the last thing because we're going to go from the summary sheet to doing business, right? And it's not some drawn out close. I'm trying to convince them anything. Listen, in order to get the ball rolling on fixing this stuff and starting the process for you, I'll just need your driver's licenses, right? And I get right into the paperwork. Always prepare the paperwork before your meeting. Get as much of it done as possible. Those of you that sit on Zoom appointments for hours or in person for hours, God bless you. They do not want you to be there. In fact, they're probably going to refer less people to you. Really, you want to get it to they're just signing. They're typing in their social, whatever the case may be. Less is more when it comes to these appointments, okay? I use Morningstar to cement everything. Not that I need to, but I like the fact that it's third-party information, cementing any illustrations or brochures. When I do annuities, I stay away from the insurance company's illustrations. I think they're confusing and terrible. Just want to focus on the main points, right? If I'm using the AIG daily, hey, we're going to lock in your highest point. We're going to pay out 7% at 65, guaranteed income for life, blah, 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 right? What are the most important points? Okay. If the stock market tanks in 6 months, we know we're going to lock in the highest point. It's automatically going to do that, right? I'm not going to go through this confusing illustration. To me, that's just terrible. Okay. Um, Always assume the sale. Okay, very important. Allow a client to see progress on the checklist. I just talked about that. Let them know what the process is with rollovers and transfers. This is just like life insurance. If you're doing a replacement, you don't prepare them for the other agent to call, or you don't prepare them for the other advisor to call. Always do the phone calls for the rollovers and transfers with the client. Never allow the client to do any of this on their own. Remember that change is uncomfortable. You're trying to take away some. So this is a good way to do it. Listen, I know change is uncomfortable, but obviously I know you want to do the right thing for your family. I'm going to help you with a phone call to the advisor, just so that way you don't have to worry about it, being awkward or uncomfortable. We're going to make sure that this transition is smooth as possible. Don't worry, I take money from Fidelity all the time. I can tell you kind of exactly how this process works. Okay. And again, remember that to empathize with their situation and to use stories of other clients that you're working with. Okay. That's extremely important. So if they give you a concern, I say, listen, you know what? I hear that all the time. I completely understand how you feel. My clients have felt the same way. And I can tell you, although the change was a little uncomfortable, and maybe they felt like they were had to take a little bit of step back, they end up taking a bigger step forward, and they're really happy right now with the decision that they made. Right? This is a long-term relationship that's very, very important to me, and I feel like it's very important, obviously, for your family that we fix these issues, right? So something like that, but you've got to let them know that you're going to hold their hand through the process, right? Very, very important. Napkin presentations. Now, again, I'm a tech idiot. I probably have somebody on here that could show me how to do a whiteboard to show you some of my napkin presentations, but I'm just going to talk to you about some of the most important ones with investments. Keep things simple, really important. So I always have a notebook with me, right? So I just keep, like, whatever you call it, like a binder that just has a bunch of notebook paper in it. So if I'm going on a first appointment, all I have is my business cards, obviously a pen, um, a binder with a bunch of notebook paper that I can kind of do drawings on, the F&A, and that's it. And um, so I don't do big presentations. I do a small presentation if I'm training somebody, because I want them to see the same thing so I can duplicate fast. But the concept is, when I feel like there's a time where I've got to educate. So let's say asset allocation is an issue, right? Let's say I meet with them and they have all their money in one large cap growth fund. Okay. So on a piece of paper, I'll write large cap growth, large cap value, mid cap, small cap, international, fixed income, real estate, commodities. I'll write all the different categories. And I'll make a check box next to large cap growth. And of course, I'll have that asset allocation chart with me that illustrates this, but I do find it's good to just see them write it on paper. And I say, listen, studies show that having good representation in each area not only increases your rate of return, but it actually minimizes your risk. If you were my client and I was doing a review, I'd be very embarrassed, because all you have right now is large cap growth. That's the only box that we check. So if large cap growth has a bad year, you're going to have a bad year. Okay, that's an example drawing. Another thing I do all the time, let's say you run into somebody with a bunch of money in the bank, savings account, CD, something crappy at the bank that's not keeping up with inflation. So let's say I'm moving them into a municipal bond fund yielding 4. So I'll write the amount on a piece of paper, and of course do the math with them. Let's say it's 100,000 times 0.04. That's 4,000 a year. You're going to get 4,000 divided by 12. This is the amount of your monthly tax-free income. Right now, you're not even getting that much interest per year, so you'd be getting more per month than what you're getting per year. And now you've got not only is it higher rate of return, but now it's tax free because they're going to get 1099 in the mail that says tax exempt interest. And now you actually have 2 ways to make money. So if your CD is paying 1, it's not like your CD is going to appreciate, right? But a bond or a stock can appreciate in value in addition to the dividends. So now you've got 2 ways to make money, right? So I'll write on that piece of paper total rate of return. So if the bond fund, the net asset value, let's say, is 10, and they're getting a 4% yield, and of course the bond goes up to 11, their total rate of return or total return is 14, right? Because they got the 10% appreciation plus the 4. Obviously, with a CD, they only get one way to make money. And of course, it's guaranteed to not even keep up with inflation. Of course, then you talk to them about the fact that the FDIC insurance is basically useless. They have 100 years to pay that claim. If you read the small print, you talk to the fact that if they're true run-on banks, nobody would get their money. Talk about the fact that the major banks' balance sheets are actually significantly worse than where they were in '08 with all the derivatives and junk on their balance sheet. I mean, I can go on, but these are some of the simple things that you're drawing on a piece of paper. Another thing that you could do on a napkin presentation, as I call it, would just be a simple variable annuity or fixed index annuity explanation, right? Where you talk about the amount of money that gets rolled over, you talk about the guaranteed income for life, and you just write it all out, right? So if you're using an anniversary product and the market goes up 15, talk about how the account value and income base go up by 15. And then if the market goes down, maybe you have one that guarantees a bump up 6 on the income base. You talk about how that works. Talk about how if the account value goes to 0, they're still getting paid, right? You know, if I'll do a napkin presentation explaining the difference between mutual funds and managed accounts, and how managed accounts is more proactive money management, and the fact that it's more efficient. If I'm driving from one appointment to the next and something in your portfolio needs to be adjusted or sold, or there's an opportunity that needs to be taken advantage of, this really good manager has the ability to do that for us. Okay. And again, whatever the case may be, but you're trying to simplify things, okay? So again, don't have time to go through that tonight, but I will promise you guys that I don't use any fancy presentations. I just don't. It doesn't work. It really looks like you're just trying to convince them of something. Keep things simple and get good at these napkin presentations, because if they understand it, I'm telling you, the light bulb goes on and they get excited, because you just didn't implement a solution. You're educating them as to why, and they didn't have a financial education, probably their parents didn't probably teach them, so you're teaching it, right? So I use Morningstar pretty much every appointment. Wholesalers, be careful. Like, listen, if you don't know what you're doing, you got to be careful. Some of the wholesalers are cheesy salespeople. Some are actually educators and provide value. Just be careful who you get your information from. Of course, Primerica is working on a better CRM, thank God. I can tell you the home office has gotten so much better from a support standpoint in the investment business. So use the tools that we have. Other tips I'd recommend in terms of getting better is get around people that are better than you so you can learn. Get rid of the stupid thinking that you can't build and be good at securities at the same time. That's just dumb. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, there's too many people in Primerica that have this wrong thinking with that. But again, most important, the reason that you should do both is it's the right thing for the client, right? It's the way you would want to be treated. It's amazing to me that people will build a hierarchy, do a bunch of recruiting, not do securities, but they'll get financially independent, but none of their clients will, right? That's terrible, right? That's not a business that I would want. That's not a business that I would be proud of. It's embarrassing for our company. So do the full job. Okay. PACs are a big deal because listen, there's probably nothing more important that we can do for our clients as they approach retirement is encourage them to invest more money. Most people are not investing enough money. So constantly challenging them, encouraging them to invest more, to increase what they're putting into their 401k, their PACs with you. I think the PAC Plus is smart because it's just like the IBR. They're probably going to let it go. Those of you that have delivered a larger death claim because of the IBR know there's value in it, right? Obviously, those of you that are RVP understand the securities bonus, securities stock from securities. So of course, there's a lot of reasons to do investments. Obviously, securities residual income is sexy. I mean, again, like when I think about my Primerica business, I think about is how can I make my passive income substantially higher, and work less, right? Spend more time with my family, do more things with my time that I want to do, with them outside of business, right? Whether that's ministry stuff, spend more time with my kids. I don't have a ton of time left, but I'm not like, if there's any thinking deeply about what I want with my business, it's how can I increase my residual income and how can I physically be less involved? So to me, that's more independent reps on your team, and that's more investment business, right? Again, talked about managed accounts a lot the last 6 months. My goal is to get that thing over 150, as I said. It's a better pension. Police officers are underpaid, teachers are underpaid, and their pensions are really pathetic when you think about how long that they work, right? But somebody could literally build 15 million in managed accounts in less than 3 years here, and that pays them 10 grand a month. Guys, you might hear 15 million. That's a lot. That's not a lot of work. Like, if you're working 40 hours a week and you're in the right market, you could build up 15 million in managed accounts in less than 3 years. Really, 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 really easy. That's 10 grand a month, right? I think we can't undersell that. It's amazing. Okay. Treat everybody well in your organization, have a place for everyone. If somebody wants to be a big recruiter and not do investments, great. If someone wants to do investments and not recruit anybody, great. I'll override all of them. I'll treat everybody well. I think it's really, really dumb when I see leaders knock certain people in their organization because they don't build things the way they do. It doesn't make any sense to me. We're all independent contractors. Somebody just wants to do a bunch of investment business, great. I'll take thousands of those people, okay? How do you become a better advisor? You become a better investor, invest more of your personal money, right? Thank God, 10 years ago, one of my clients asked me about Bitcoin. That's when I bought my first one at $300, right? Now we're at whatever it is today, 32,000 and change, right? I told many of you to buy it in October of 2019. Many of you didn't. I told you to buy Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other coins. Many of you didn't. Obviously, you wish you would have done, right? It's not done yet, by the way. But that's an example, right? I bought my first, I remember my wife and I, the first house we bought when we first got married, we rented that out and then we went on to the next one, the next one, the next one. So a lot of what I go over with clients, I've done personally, right? Invest more money, okay? By the way, the way that you increase your Primerica income, in my opinion, is you have a giving goal every month, right? For me, it's my church and other Christian organizations and charitable organizations, and I have an investing goal. So if I have a goal to give away 20 grand in January to my church and 20 grand I want to invest, well, I need to make a lot more than 40, right? But what happens is people have like this, I just need to make enough to pay my bills mindset. And that's why they never grow their business or to grow their income, because they get comfortable, whether it's poverty or they get comfortable just enough to get by and pay their bills. That's why they don't grow. Very, very important that you stretch yourself. Stay humble. The more I study the markets, the more I realize I don't know a lot of things. Actually, the more I read, the more I study, the more I realize I just don't know that much about the markets, right? You could study it for 50, 60 years and only really scratch the surface. What books that you should read? I mean, there's so many of them. I think from a communication book standpoint, some of Nick Murray's stuff is really good. Simple Wealth, Inevitable Wealth, I believe, is a good one. Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace is, I think, very foundational. Obviously, he was with Primerica with Roy Matlock. There's so many of them. Automatic Millionaire by David Bach, I think, is a good read. Intelligent Investor by Benjamin Graham, which was Warren Buffett's mentor, is a good read. One Up on Wall Street by Peter Lynch. I can go on, but you guys should just master the fundamentals, websites. I mean, just have an idea of what's going on in the markets, because clients are going to ask you, right? You know, what are the popular things in the last couple of years, right? People are asking me about crypto. People are asking about weed stocks. People asking me, how is COVID going to affect my money, right? Don't go show up to an appointment and not have a response for this stuff, because then, you know, they're not going to do business with you. At least be able to have a conversation about these things that we know they're going to ask us, right? I subscribe to Porter Stansberry's stuff in Baltimore. He's got a great team. That's been my favorite. That's just me, though. Do your own research, right? Be careful who you get advice from, right? Obviously, we've seen how bad the media is in the last 12 months with fake news in every area of our life, right? Especially politics. But it's the same way in the investment business. There's so much fake news out there. Be careful who you get your information from. Definitely don't take advice from Primerica people that don't practice what they preach, right? If someone gives me investment advice, but yet their volume was a million in 2020, why would I listen to them, right? I like the people in my base shop, but when a district leader has a rolling 12 of 5,000 for the entire year of 2020, I'm probably not going to take a whole lot of business advice from that person, right? I like them, but probably not going to take any advice from them, right? So be careful, right? The thing that you should think about with taking advice from people, two things. One, do they care about me? And two, are they successful? Do they have a track record? Because some of you take advice from your family members, which they care about you, but are they successful? No. If people in my family have never run a business before, never had a successful business before, I don't really care their 2 cents at the Thanksgiving table, okay? I just don't, because they don't know what they're talking about. But so many people in Primerica let unsuccessful people rent space in their head, and I don't get it. But just be careful who you take advice from. Getting better, always critique yourself. Most of how I do things, it's because I'm very hard on myself. So I'd go to a meeting and I'd say, well, what could I have said differently? What questions could I have asked? What I did wrong? How did I communicate poorly? And I keep making tweaks. Those of you that are brand new, have a lot of conversations with your RVP. Humble yourself, because what will happen is if you don't, and some of you should actually ask your RVP or leader to do appointments with you if it's been a while, because I promise you, you're saying some dumb things and making some mistakes and you don't even realize you're doing it. It's like me getting better at golf, right? I'm not a great golfer. I wish I was a lot better. I don't get to play a lot, but I have teaching pros that I go to so they can see what I'm doing wrong and I can make adjustments and changes. But people, Primerica people, will go through 2, 3, 4 years and have the same exact numbers every year because they never make adjustments because they can't see their blind spots, right? Very important. Ask for feedback from clients. How many of you have asked for feedback about the process? How are you going to get better if you don't ask for feedback? I want feedback from my reps that I'm training. How can I get better? How can we make our trainings better? How can we make these securities boot camps better? And if you're not getting results and referrals, there's something wrong with the way that you're doing things, right? But why wouldn't you fix that? Because why would you keep working hard and not getting the results that you want, right? Evaluate your closing ratio, okay? Obviously, we need more securities licenses on our team to do more numbers, right? Stop trying to get the same, more production from the same people. You learn faster when you help others. That's really, really important. If you can't teach something, you do not really know it. It's amazing how many people say, well, I already know that. But you look at their numbers and they don't really know it, because if they knew it and they applied it, their numbers would be better, right? And then the next level is, are you teaching somebody, right? That's the next level of leadership, is how many great leaders can I develop and I can coach, okay? Retirement plans, just again, this is just scratching the surface. This is the fundamentals tonight. But 403Bs, obviously we have an opportunity there. We have several 403B providers now. Most teachers should probably do a Roth IRA instead, but it could just be your door opener, right? Get in there. Simple IRAs is huge. Most small businesses get ignored. By the way, those are centers of influence. I built a lot of my business with small business owners just like me that I meet with, do a simple IRA, do their F&A, do a financial wellness workshop, maybe help them with their business reserves. But I love the fact that they know so many people that they can refer me to. 457s, those of you that are trying to get more appointments and don't talk to townships and municipalities and boroughs, you're crazy, because they are not getting any help or service from their 457 provider, okay? I promise they're terrible. So I would talk to as many of them as possible, right? They're not getting an F&A, they're not getting any service. It's really easy. Of course, SEP IRAs for self-employed people. Sometimes maybe they need to open up a profit sharing. I would actually partner with retirement companies that specialize in plan design, okay? Because that's another tool that you can bring to the table. Do meetings with that specialty company, with the client. What should they have? Should they do a solo 401k? Should they do a SEP? Should they do a profit sharing plan? Should they do a type of pension? Like, design the right plan for them is very, very important, okay? Obviously, leading with the wellness workshop is huge. Getting referrals from your clients. A lot of my plans have come because I had a client at a company that was, had a decent position. I just had them introduce me to the HR director or the business owner. Okay. Conversation's the same. People get intimidated by plans, but the conversation's the same. It's, less risk, less fees, better fund options, better, and it's mostly better service. Less than 1% of advisors will work on 401ks, and the ones that do just try to land the plan and not do any, uh, ancillary business or financial plans after that, right? So we have a tremendous amount of opportunity there. Our partners do the majority of the work in terms of paperwork. It's really, really easy. My favorite to work with personally is Voya. But do your own work and research, okay? There's just so many opportunities out there for you to expand your leads and get more business. And of course, you start landing these plans. Every time a new employee is hired, they're going to become your client. Every time an employee leaves, you're gonna get paid again when you roll that money over, right? It's like the gift that keeps on giving, right? It's like Christmas morning every day. if you have more of these plans in place, because it's just constant business that's coming your way. So I would encourage you, now that we're in 2021, to think a lot bigger when it comes to what are your marketing strategies, because there's just so much opportunity out there if you're putting in the time, right? I talk about block calendars all the time, but it's so critically important that you schedule time every single week in your calendar, to do marketing, to generate more leads. Okay. I hated doing that when I first started, but I did it for several years without taking a break. And that's why I have the business that I have. So I'm the biggest introvert on the planet. I don't like cold calling. I don't like prospecting. I don't like talking to people, but I did it for several years consistently without taking days off. And then I just took great care of the clients that I created, and I never had to do it again. Okay. Why more Primerica people wouldn't do that, I just don't understand. I did it for 2 years and never had to do it again, ever. Now I still do it occasionally because I maybe want to grow faster or get clients quicker or build a team faster, but I don't have to do it because I did it once. But some people will do that for a week or a month, but they won't do it consistently. And that's the key to build momentum and to really get it off the ground. Um, Great daytime activity, get your reps full time quicker, build your list faster, of course, compress time frames. Talk a little bit about when to use each. Like when I think of annuities, guys, of course, being a fiduciary and acting in someone's best interest is really the way that you should run your business. But when I think of annuities, I think of income. Unless it's a non-qualified situation, maybe tax deferral comes into play. But most of the time I think of income. So I don't believe in just selling annuities if it's not really an income situation. So I will say that our new managed account platform is fantastic. Tracy Goldman's done a really good job. If you don't do any managed account business, you really need to study it. It's not just about your clients paying higher fees. It's about your clients having more proactive, sophisticated money management. And it's really a business philosophy for you that you're going to become more efficient with your business. You're going to provide more value to your clients. You want more people that are helping your clients without you being involved. It's definitely a philosophy, right? Sometimes mutual funds make more sense, but again, do your research and never have a cookie cutter practice. And you might say, well, Ben, that doesn't sound like you're keeping things simple. Well, I really am. I don't think it's that hard. I just think every client deserves a plan and a comprehensive strategy and the right type of solution to hit their goals. I mean, don't make the mistake of doing the same thing for everybody. That's where you're going to get burnt. Paperwork keys, knowing the process, pre-filled out, obviously. Have a matrix. So I mostly use Invesco. And then I need to update it more often than I do, but I give my base shop a matrix. And all that really means is if they're aggressive growth, this is your funds that you use, and these are the percentages, right? Here's conservative growth, here's moderate. So that's a good starting point to just help people quickly. And then you save them in your Turbo app, so your paperwork process is a lot quicker, right? I don't want to be answering questions about what funds to pick, because I'm not the one servicing that client. And when my people, my base shop ask me and they think I'm being not helpful, it's not that. It's that I really don't care that much because I'm not the advisor for that client. I can't in good conscience tell you what funds to pick if I'm not going to be servicing the client. Because the funds I tell you might be good for the next 6 months, but then it might need to adjust. And then what if you drop the ball? So what you should do if you're new, okay, or you're about to get your securities license, is use one retail company for the most part. It doesn't make any sense for you to memorize hundreds of different portfolios. And then just put them on an app on your phone, your stock app, and just track those funds and get used to them, right? And use them. And the only thing that's going to change is, of course, the allocation between fixed income and stocks. Of course, generally speaking, your older clients will be more conservative, but you're using the same funds. Get to know them, right? If you're building a business and you're recruiting and training people and getting them securities license, I think the best thing to train people fast, and I'm going to try to pick up the pace here because Michigan basketball will be on soon, but you're going to sit down between the first and second meeting, and I'm going to have that person present to me like I'm the client. And I'm going to beat them up. I'm going to destroy everything they put together. Why would I do that, right? Because I know that client's not going to be as hard on them as what I am. It's amazing how many people don't take me up on this, but everybody that's done, they got good fast, right? Because again, I know the business fairly well. I'm not to brag. I just been doing this. I've been on more appointments than most people. People, that's the key, right? You can't, you just got to go more appointments, right? You learn by doing, but that's a key thing. If you want your reps to get good, have them pretend like, don't even do the case with them. Have them do everything themselves and then meet with you like you're the client. Okay. I think it's good to have a spreadsheet of how other financial companies do things and how to get money from them quicker. Obviously, training on investments, what you focus on expands. Obviously, the base shops that never train on investments, they're not going to be doing a lot of investments. What happens sometimes is a few of the people in their base shop might get good, and then everybody will come to that person. But that's probably not fair to that person, because that person ends up working 20, 30 hours a week training people they don't override. Recognize investments. What you recognize grows, obviously. Conclusion. So I did okay on time. Again, I usually answer a lot more questions during this and expound on things more, but this is still okay. Again, implement some of the things that you learned tonight. Applied knowledge is the only thing that matters. And kind of one of the things I think about with this is confidence and competence is what's going to lead to compensation. I know you've probably heard that before, but it's so true. Is part of you being more likable and more trustworthy as you're more confident with investments. And I believe at this point in time, that and with the baby boomers and where the market is, that again, in my organization, RVP, I believe we're in this moment. You could probably get there 6 months after your IBA, and then if you're willing to work 40 hours a week, and work will be defined as you're on an appointment, you're studying an appointment, all your time that you waste on social media and POL and all the other stuff that you do doesn't count. But 40 hours of the right type of work, you're going to at least make 300 grand a year on your own pen, not counting overrides and residual income. So I kind of believe, in addition to making a huge difference in your clients' lives and have a business that's more impactful because you're doing the right thing, it's more rewarding, clients in a better position, providing them a lot more value. You're also making a lot more money while you build, right? So I think it's of course, a win-win situation. So, all right, because I was able to get through this in record time, I will entertain a few questions here before I go watch Michigan basketball win again. Any questions? Some of you are afraid to ask a question because you know this video will go out to the entire country and you're going to be the one that asks a question, right? I'm good if you guys don't have any questions. We can wrap this puppy up.
Hey, Ben, it's Morgan down in Houston. I wanted to know, excuse me, will you post this, or could we get, I know like on your Tuesday morning call, is there a way to get a copy of the recording?
Yeah, I'll have my wife do that because I have no idea, but I'm pretty sure I see the recorded thing, so I'm pretty sure it's being recorded. I think I did it to the cloud, so I have her get that out.
Okay,
Shoot me an email. Shoot me an email if you attended tonight. I'll make sure you guys get it.
Okay.
Thanks. Any other questions, guys? I hope this was helpful. Again, it's just meant to be a foundational starting point. But I think new people, especially, I just want them to understand how ridiculously easy the investment business is. People overcomplicate it. And again, I just want to stress again, it's service and it's pain points. It's service and it's pain points. Those two things, right? Those are the foundations. Everything to me builds on that. 99% of the time, I do not even get into the knowledge that I have about investments because it's probably going to confuse people, right? Fisher Price simple when it comes to this kind of stuff is really important. Like, how many times have we heard a client say, you know what, Ben, my other advisor talked way over my head. I had no idea what they were talking about. How is that helping that person? Okay, it's not. So any questions?
Hi, Ben. This is Mary Rios. How are you?
Hey, Mary. How you doing?
Hi. It's a great evening tonight. Thank you very much. I want to go back to the keys of the first appointment, and when you said, if we decide to make, does it make sense for us to work together? What would you expect from me? Do most of your clients, do you find, really answer that question honestly to you?
They do, and I want great question. So what we want to address is how often maybe do they want to review? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to know going in, right? Is it going to be about return? Is it going to be about how often do we communicate? I want to know how they like to communicate.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you're my advisor, I'll tell you right now, I prefer a text. I don't ever want to talk to you. I don't want to talk to anybody on the phone. Like, ask my wife. Like, I don't want to talk to people on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
Text me what you want to, say.
Right.
Some of my clients like emails. Some people want to meet face to face. Like, some people hate Zoom.
Yeah.
Some people really want to make sure annually that we're just really assessing the track that they're on for retirement. But like, I want to know, because the key to make people happy is to under promise and over deliver.
That's right.
Okay, so I want to know in advance, right? Maybe they want to meet quarterly. Okay, maybe the person down the road has $2,000 to manage, but they want to talk once a week about it. I probably don't want them as a client. I'm not trying to be mean.
Right.
I'm not going to talk to them every week about their $2,000. So again, what's the expectation? Because I want to over deliver, because that's how you create long-term relationships. Happy clients will lead to an easy business. It's so painful for me how many Primerica people just drop the ball with service, and it's just so devastating for their clients and really devastating for their business. And then you wonder why we get this bad name in the community. We get this bad reputation. You wonder why they have to go on social media and look like idiots to drum up leads, because they're not minding the goal that's right in front of them. I mean, I could go on for hours about this,
Right.
but it's important. Good question. I'll take one more before we hang up here. Any other questions?
Hey, Ben, this is Joe Rojas. Thanks for tonight.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, on 457s, I've never done a whole lot of 457 business. Can you touch a little more on how you prospect for those and any providers that you use?
Honestly, Joe, I mean, it's obviously COVID's a little bit weird, but I would just literally walk into townships and police officer stations and borough buildings and just try to talk to the office manager. And the game changer in the 457 space is it doesn't have to be a takeover plan. So if I'm doing a 401k takeover, they have to literally switch from their company to mine. But with 457s, we can be an add-on plan. So the township manager doesn't even have to commit to anything. Why would they say no to having an add-on plan, another person for their people to talk to, their police officers, firefighters, just people that work in the office there, right? You know, they haven't had a financial plan done by the other provider. You know, Nationwide does a lot of them, and they're terrible. So we can be an add-on plan, which is a game changer because they don't really have to make that big of a commitment, have a lot of change. Hey, now you can talk to Joe or Mary or Michelle, have somebody else to talk to and get a second opinion. And of course, AXA has a 457. Now we have another company that I'm drawing a blank on that we just announced, but it's about service. They're not getting any service. They have a 800 phone number, but they don't really have an advisor. So that's the main thing. So guys, I hope this helps. Have a great night. Talk to you soon.